What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Black and Gold. This is HiBruiNation. Tonight, I am joined, as always, by my co-host and Matt Vogel down in Studio V. And and I love that. I love that so much. And we have Kyle Higgins, a special guest, a friend of the pod and of all of us. Woo! Down in Studio Higgy. Preseason, as of a week ago, has started, where I was fortunate enough to go to the first game last Sunday, right up against the glass, which was an awesome experience. We're going to give you a breakdown of that, of the first few games here over the last week. We also have a ticket giveaway that we will do a little bit later on down the show to a Bruins preseason game on Tuesday against Philadelphia, with the first cuts of the team coming today. And we'll get into that and who got cut and who we think should have stayed, who we think should have gotten cut instead. We are anticipating more NHLers to play against the game in Philly. We'll do that. As I said, we'll do the drawing a little bit later. We got a lot to unpack here. So without further ado, fellas, how are we doing?
Doing good. You know, we got 1 week of preseason under our belts. We got heading into the final week now. We are now 9 days away from puck drop in Florida for the Bruins' first game against the Panthers. We're getting a better look at what the team's going to look like on opening night. So, I mean, I'm feeling good. Kyle, well, first of all, welcome to HiBruiNation. How you feeling with the team?
I'm feeling good. Thanks for having me, boys. Glad to be here. Honestly, I just can't wait for the dust to settle. As much as I love the speculation, the ins and outs, watching who can develop, who can't, just can't wait to get to what their lineups actually going to look like. I think we still have enough question marks that it'll be fun for us to see how it shakes out. But yeah, I've seen enough of the early camp stuff. Let's get down to the who's really going to be here.
Well, I mean, today was a big day. A lot of cuts. A lot of cuts. I think they pretty much cut down almost to the final roster. Effectively, what they did. Just a quick reminder, everybody, if you're here, this is a live show. You can comment live. We can see your comments. We'll post them up here. Also share with us your thoughts as we speak. We'll address them. We can give you guys some good shout outs. Yeah, join the conversation. This will be very open-ended. Why don't we start with some of the news? So Max Jones, still day to day. So for those of you who don't know, Max Jones was signed to I believe it was a 1 year, $1 million contract in the off season. He used to play for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, or the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. That's the name I prefer to call them because that's the name that they are so rightfully owed. Elias Lindholm is practicing in a non-contact jersey. Glad to see that he's back for number one. And number two, congratulations to him and his wife for having I believe is their first child, a beautiful baby boy. So congratulations to that. Welcome to Boston, Elias. We love you. All right, let's get to the cuts. Two notable ones, right? And probably the ones that really only matter. The rest we could have probably assumed that we're going to be cut. Were Fabian Lysell, who is 21 years old. He is a left wing, right wing, has been sent down to Providence, along with, I'm going to butcher his first name, I believe it is Georgi Markelov. He is a left wing center. Did I not say it right? Did I not get it right?
I thought it was Georgie. Maybe I should have given myself a buzz there. I'm not entirely sure.
Give it.
I just kind of assume that you are wrong every time.
I'm just gonna have to wait for you guys to say every name so that I don't get buzzed.
Yeah, the running joke on both HiBruiNation and the Pucking Around podcast is Cam cannot pronounce any name the right way.
Hey, I found out, dude, how to pronounce that kid. That Kopka. It's Kopke. It is Kopke. So I heard it last night. No, I thought it's Kopke. Frick! Now you're making me second guess myself, dude.
Well, am I wrong? It's spelled the same as Brooks Koepka, no?
I would say.
I wouldn't know.
So I don't know. Don't lean on me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm saying Kopke. That's what I heard, and maybe the announcers. It was a Philadelphia announcer too. I don't know. It was NHL Center Ice. By the way, screw you, NHL Network, and your bull crap last night with the whole
We'll
blackout thing.
get into
And
that later when we break down the Flyers game. But God,
like
was that frustrating.
that drove me out of this world. Like it was so painful, beyond painful. But that's fine. We're over it. I got to watch the rest of the game. But guys, before we break down the previous week, because it was kind of a spoiler, obviously that Lysel and Merkulov got sent down. We can kind of explain why. But do you guys think that was too early for both of them?
Yep, definitely. I don't see why you would hang on to fringe guys like Vinny Lettieri versus letting those guys run out camp. Even if the end goal was for them to not be on the opening day roster, it just gives you more of a chance to see them get reps with guys who actually matter. I don't need to see more Pat Brown. I don't need to see more Vinny Lettieri. I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice by not at least seeing more time of those guys skating with actual NHL talent versus whatever disasters they were on lines with.
It was also odd too because earlier in the week, Montgomery came out in an interview or a press conference or something, and he said that Lysel needs to do a little more if he wants to make the Bruins, if he wants to stay in the NHL team. So if that's the case, and that's how you feel, after that first game where we talked about it before, that Rangers game, he was kind of invisible, wasn't doing much. I think he progressed throughout the week, and I'm not saying that he's guaranteed a spot, but I think he should have gotten more of a look. And if that's how Montgomery feels, then why not give the kid more of a shot to show you what he's got?
I think we were talking about this beforehand too, that he did not even get a look on NHL lines, like on NHL type-esque lines, if you think about it, right? Like he was on the bottom six pairing, or not the pairings, but on the bottom six lines during these preseason games. So I don't think he got like his due diligence. I mean, he scored a goal against, I think, what game was it? I can't specifically remember.
The Rangers game, right?
Yeah, Capitals.
Yeah, okay.
It was the Capitals. And it was a beautiful snipe on the power play. Like the guy has a really good shot.
That was a hell of a shot.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I expected him to at least stay and get some looks with some of the more prominent NHLers. I think the most important player he was with was John Beecher. I think that was it. I think he played with Beecher. Winning the Hart Trophy this year. Winning the Hart.
Beecher.
Vegas odds have him at plus 100,000. Like that's where we have him. I think I'm agreeing with both of you. They should have given Merck and Lysel a little bit more of a look, especially with the roster being cut down. And I agree with Kyle. Vinny Lettieri, there's nothing special about this guy, like at all. I don't know. I don't know why they're electing to keep him. But Kyle, were you mentioning that Marchand might have had a play in that?
Yeah, so I had seen the headline come across from Fluto Shinzawa on The Athletic. Basically, he does like his sort of mock lineups as camp progresses, and the headline for this one was Marchand makes his feelings known, or something of that ilk. Basically, long story short, it was combining the fact that earlier in the week Marchand was just gassing up Geeky, talking about how much he loves playing with him, talking about how great he is in different areas of the game, how he can't wait to get more reps with him, and then factoring that into the fact that Fluto kind of let on that maybe he talked to Montgomery in the organization and said that, I think that the best fit on our line is going to be somebody dependable, somebody seasoned, aka saying, I want a vet skating with us now.
He wants
that's speculation. Yeah, but well, I think, or maybe Geeky. I don't know if maybe that's what they're thinking is the best option. And like, I don't even mind the idea of Geeky in the top six, but to immediately out of the gate say, well, I'm not even interested in opening the door for one of the kids to come in, kind of just seems, I don't know, like it
seems rough,
selfish almost. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree. I think even if Lysel was on the team, okay, elevate Patra, then have Lysel or Merkulov play on the third line. That, like, you can do that. We don't for an update on the cap situation, guys. Like, we only have 7.8 million in cap as it currently sits, right? So we can send a couple people down, and it seems like, but you still want to have a reasonable amount of people on the roster to kind of play around with, right? We don't want to have just a 20-man roster. You need to have 21 at minimum, right? We can't do that. So I don't even think they can sign Tyler Johnson right now to a contract. without first signing Swayman. So we might end up in that situation where we might have to roll with a 20-man roster, or I don't know, maybe we can convince Swayman to take a little bit less and we can get Tyler Johnson. I wouldn't mind Tyler Johnson either, but I think he's more of the middle six, not a definite top six, but
Yeah, and the other thing too is like we're sitting with probably 6 fourth liners on the roster right now.
Easy. Yeah,
so it's like,
I think so.
There's a lot that are kind of you can plug and play. Hey Charlie.
So it's like if you think that Geeky's good enough to move up, or maybe Frederick decides to finally become what he has been in tiny spurts for an extended period of time, then do you really need to pay Tyler Johnson to come in when you have 6 other guys that can fill the bottom 6?
I promise. So I was skating today at the Burbank. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to take the conversation. I was actually doing a stick time today at Burbank Ice Arena and over in Redmond. And I promised these kids that if they joined, that I would shut them out. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Glad you guys actually came. Hope you guys have a good chance. I did. I promise, man. That's what it is, right? Like you gotta own up to it. No, they're good kids. They're actually hell of a skaters, man. Actually, one of them I believe is Nola Chari's cousin. So that was wicked cool. So I don't know. So welcome to the podcast, guys. Glad you guys are watching.
Thanks for tuning in, Charlie from the rink.
Yeah, Charlie from the rink. I love that. There we go.
Charlie, let's go.
Yeah, is there really much to be said on it? I mean, you're right, Kyle. I think the bottom 6 is pretty well defined, right? If we were to picture perfect it right now, I think your third line would probably be probably Trent, Patra, Geeks in some capacity, right? And then your fourth line would be probably Jones, Beecher, Cast, and then maybe swap Brezzo out with Cast, and then that second line right wing is that big question, and I thought that could have been filled easily by Merck or Lysell just to get them going.
Well, if that's the case too, and to Kyle's point before, if you want to put Geeky on the second line, then roll Tyler Johnson into that third line wing spot. I mean, it seems like they're pretty confident in taking him on. So I think maybe, like you said, rotate Brazo into the fourth line, and then maybe Geeky Johnson interchangeable on second and third. I mean, I don't know. But it's, again, that's what it seems like it's going towards that direction.
Sure. Quinn wants to know how we feel about Charlie Coyle. Vogel, why don't you lead us off with that?
I love Charlie
Throw you
Coyle.
on the
I think
spot.
he's awesome. I think Charlie Coyle is awesome. I think that he's going to have a banger of a year.
Cool. Kyle.
Yeah, I'm also a huge Coyle guy. You're asking the wrong guy. As soon as we picked him up, I was so amped for it. I didn't enjoy he got a little bit of heat early on because everyone is sort of expecting him to be a guy that he never was. But I think when used in the type of role that he should be used in, I think he's probably one of the best at that role. He's not going to be a game breaker. He's not a world talented playmaker, but he's going to be one of the most dependable centers in the league. And I love watching the kid play.
I also love that he's a hometown guy.
That always helps. But no, I love Coyle.
He's my favorite player. I was when I love to pick like my favorite players on the teams. A lot of people like, oh, you probably like Pasternak, you probably like Bergeron. Like, yes, of course I love those guys and Marchand and guys like them. But I also like the bottom 6 guys. And when Coyle was here as our third line center, and even before that, when Coyle came over from Minnesota, I knew he was a hometown guy. I really liked him. I liked his style of play. I thought he was a big body. He knew how to use his body. He's a great puck retriever. He knows how to defend that puck well in the offensive zone. He's probably best suited as a middle 6 center. And I think at the second line is where he will best fit. And I think his style of play fits the Boston Bruins extremely well. I'm anticipating a good season from him. I'm not someone who estimates points a lot, probably 50 points from Coyle. That's where I'm going to put him, 50, 60 points. We'll see. But Coyle's a piece to the Bruins team, and he's shown that he's definitely earned that.
Cam, to start that off saying you love a good, bottom six guy, you're going to be a ride or die. You have no idea who you're talking to when you say that. I have never met someone ride for Ryan Spooner like Kyle Higgins. I've never seen it in my life.
Ryan Spooner?
I love me a 3C. So if you get me a 3C that has any sort of promise, I'm taking it to the grave. So I'm the biggest Ryan Spooner apologist you'll ever see. He's misunderstood.
I've never seen anyone ride for someone like Kyle rides for Ryan Spooner.
Ryan Spooner was the dude. He doesn't even play anymore. Where does he even play? I
think he was in Germany the last time I looked.
Oh my god, dude! Listen, he actually didn't have a bad stint with the Bruins. I thought he was a decent depth guy. Like, you know what I mean? You know what, Vogel? To be fair, I was a huge Danny Pye and Greg Campbell guy. I loved those guys. Like, those guys are like two of my favorite players in the Bruins during the 2011 Cup run. Especially Campbell when he stayed out on the ice. You know, when he broke his leg in 3 places. So that's why I say there's no harder athlete than a hockey player, man. It's just nuts. Cool. All right, guys, let's get into some of the breakdowns, right? So why don't we start? We kind of last episode, Vogel and I already broke down the first preseason game just because it ended and we were able to do the podcast. So if you guys want a breakdown of that, feel free to go watch last week's episode of HiBruiNation for our thoughts on that game. So I believe it was Tuesday. We played the Capitals. It was a 4-2 win. I'm just going to go off by saying the Capitals didn't look good in that game, like at all. Like they looked like they had more rust than they were like more than willing to shake off. And I thought that was they had most of their NHLers playing, I believe, too. I don't know.
I don't know if it was most, but I think it was a good chunk of it too. And again, it could have been, and I don't know what their preseason schedule was like. Was that their first game or was that the second like ours? I mean, it could have been the first time those guys are seeing live action too since last year. So, I keep having to remind. Yeah, I keep having to remind myself that it's just preseason. It's really just practice. So these games, in the grand scheme of things, don't count.
Sure,
but I kind of give any team the benefit of the doubt, especially the first week with not a full roster playing. So they're trying out different things, trying out different guys at different spots. So I agree with you that they didn't look great, but I'm not going to hold it against them.
Yeah. Kyle, what do you think? How did you feel? Well, first of all, also, how did you feel that the Bruins played? Because I think it was a very similar roster to the Sunday game.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent enough showing. I thought, honestly, it seemed like our NHL vets were the ones that probably put up the worst showing for the team. So I wonder if other teams are facing the same thing where it's like the vets are going in almost like baseball spring training when pitchers are just like, look, I'm working on this one thing. I'm letting it ride whether it's awful or not. So maybe these guys are looking at it not really as a game and more just as like a graduated practice, because I thought that the NHL tier defensemen were the worst ones out there. Like the Carlo Lindholm pairing got roasted almost immediately. It was Protus, I think, just kind of split the two of them, walked right through. So I try to take it with a grain of salt. Get a better showing. But again, it was tough. It was like, so I think Korpisalo faced like 7 shots, but it was almost all 7 of them were like chaotic, high danger chances that were just complete lapses on our end. So it was like a low volume, high risk sort of situation. But all in all, I thought it was one of the better early showings, at least. I think the last 2 have been a bit sleepy.
So Charlie came in with a question when you mentioned, Carlo and Lindholm being the worst pairing on that ice. So he wants to know, on our own opinions, who's better, Hampus or Brandon Carlo? I'll start. I'm going to say Carlo. I think he's consistently been a better shutdown defenseman than Hampus Lindholm has. I don't think Hampus Lindholm is a bad defenseman, but I feel like Hampus Lindholm can't be put in any other situation other than with Charlie McAvoy. They've tried him with Carlo last year for an extended period of time. Statistically, they were the worst pairing in the NHL. And for a guy of Hampus's talents, I expected more out of that. I think he's still a good two-way defenseman, but I think if I'm building my team, I would probably take Brandon Carlo over him. I prefer him as the shutdown defenseman, which is what he's been. Has he fumbled the puck on the blue line a couple times? Yeah, absolutely he has, but I think he more than makes up for it because he has a wicked shot from the point too. So I mean that's something to take into consideration. Vogel.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. I like Carlo. Did you guys know? It might have been after last game. An episode of Behind the Bee popped on. I think it was the off season after the whole summer episode they do. I think there was. Did you know Carlo's the second longest tenured guy on the team?
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not surprising. Kind of scary though.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't even think of that. I thought that was kind of a crazy answer, but I've liked Carlo ever since he started playing in Boston. I mean, I think he's really grown into his role here. He knows he's not the top defenseman, but he's solid. I think that anybody that gets put with him is going to be put in a good spot. Like you were saying, Cam, he's not perfect. He's definitely not one of the one of the best in the league, but he's good. And I think that I don't know. I would like I wouldn't hate seeing him paired with Lindholm, seeing what they can do. But also I don't know because Lindholm, like you said, plays with McAvoy, and it seems like Zadorov's going to play with him. So who knows where Lindholm's going to fall.
I'm really not sold on that Zadorov McAvoy pairing, by the way, and it's not because of the preseason game where they got these are NHL players. I think for them, they're not really fighting for a spot. They're making $5 million. They're making the team, right? They can't afford not to be on the team the way I see it. So for them, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt, and they're not going to really play to their best potential. But I think I would like to see Zadorov with Carlo and see how that looks. And people are concerned about, well, you need to activate McAvoy. I said McAvoy, even with Lindholm, has played extremely well and has been able to get the offense off, and Lindholm is able to kind of get back. They do work well with each other. They're not the Chara Seidenberg, of the 2011 team, but they're a very good defensive pairing, and it's much better than the Lindholm Carlo pairing, in my opinion. Matt Patra, where is he going to slot in? And Quinn went to the game, and he said he looked solid. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Potsy?
He's been my favorite player all camp so far. And that's not to say I didn't like him last year as well, but after the hype of talking about how much bulk he had in the offseason, stepping in, the fact that he looks like he really hasn't missed a step and is kind of just picking right back up where he left off. I think the thing with him that makes the difference is that the plays he makes seem like heady plays. Like he's not the fastest skater, he's not the strongest guy, he doesn't have the hardest shot, but it seems like he sees the game well and knows what he wants to do before he thinks a few steps ahead. So when you see him make moves and free up space for himself, it's with smart decisions. So like you see it, he worked well down low. I noticed the last few games on the cycle, he'll quick smooth head fake, and next thing you know, he has a clear lane to the front of the net. So it just plays like that free up space for him and then give him the outlet for playmaking opportunities. I like you said, I would love to see us start with a third line of Poitras centering Frederick and Geekie. Whether that's going to come to fruition, I'm not sure, but I think he serves us better as a center, and I'm hoping he gets to play with some players that have a little bit of skill because I think he can be a piece for us moving forward. So I'm excited to see him this season.
Vogel, have anything to add?
I think that we will see that, and I think that that's kind of everyone's prediction now that the cuts have been made. I've seen on Twitter all day today that it's probably going to be, Frederick, Patrick, and or maybe Geeky, maybe Johnson, maybe Brazo in some games. I mean, it depends. So it sounds like that's probably where he's going to fall. Coming back full circle in the Washington game, one of the notes I just put down was Patra's back and he's ready to go. I mean, right off the bat, you could tell that he's been working. He's up, what, 10, 20 pounds? What was it again?
If he gained 20 pounds, I would be so shocked.
I want to say
maybe 10. Maybe okay. So let's say 10. So he put back 10 pounds. He's obviously working in the offseason. He's trying to grow his game. He was one of the guys I noticed when he first came back that he was seen more ready than the rest of the guys.
Anyone
Yeah.
else hold their breath when Ristolainen stood him up at the end of the third?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ristolainen's a rat.
Yeah, he's
That's
not
yeah,
a big
so he was
fan.
favoring his arm, and I was like, not again, not again.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's good that I had concerns too, and so people had mentioned that on Twitter, like it would be stupid if they started Patra down in Providence. I didn't think that would have been a bad idea, and it's only because of his shoulder. If you look at the Flyers and what happened with Jamey Drysdale and how he re-aggravated that, and then it ended his season too last year. So I think you need to take that into consideration and be like, hey, we're not insulting his talent. We know he's going to be an NHLer, but we wanted to give him a couple games down in Providence, maybe undergo a little bit more into their training camp, and then we get him back up once he's at full speed. I think the Bruins are doing a better job than taking care of their veterans than some of these other teams are. I mean, look at what happened to Patrick Laine, Ryan Barker, Drew Doughty. I mean, Drew Doughty's missing significant time now, so will Laine. So it's one of those situations, right? So I think the Bruins are doing a better job. Pasternak's not playing a lot. A lot of their top players are not actively involved in preseason, and while that stinks, I think it's also a good sign that the Bruins are handling this much better. But
I think
who knows? Maybe they're going to start playing them more.
We almost forget that he's just 22.
Yep.
So
guy's an animal.
Merkelov's going to be 24 the first week of the season. So he's almost 3.5 years younger than the other kids that he's competing with for being the top prospect or whatever we want to call that.
I want to bring up this point too for Lysell and Merkelov. It's kind of bad in my mind that they are getting less looks than John Beecher. And it's not to say John Beecher's a bad player. In fact, I think he's a good fourth line guy, but I think with the skill sets that Merkelov and Lysell have, they should be getting better looks than. I mean, John Beecher's first full season was last season. I mean, and you're not going to even let Lysell or Merkelov sniff it like that. That's just bad, in my opinion.
I think you need to watch your mouth when you're talking about John Beecher in my presence.
That's true. We have a bet with everybody, right? That he's going to go win the Hart, the call, everything. He's winning all the trophies. He's going to win the Vezina too while he's at it.
He's got to have everything.
He's got it. He's got it all. He's on lock, dude. He's winning the Rocket Richard, dude, with 13 goals in the season. Watch. That's what's going to happen. Matthews, who? Not even a chance. No chance. Wow. Look at that.
Sweet.
Ooh,
thanks.
Remind someone of their grandpa. Yeah, there you go.
Love that.
There you go. There you
go. Your grandpa must look fine as hell.
Damn, that's praise.
Must have a hot grandpa.
Praise, buddy. Oh God. Yeah, you go ahead, inflate the guy's ego, dude. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So going back to just a couple roundup thoughts on the Capitals game. One player that definitely didn't impress me was Callahan. I'm glad he was cut and he was sent down. Yeah, Eric, let's go Bees, man. I'm all for it. Got the energy, dude. Got the energy. I love that button. Callahan was awful on the turnovers. Just all around wasn't playing well. Could have done a lot better. And then Tyler Johnson, I just thought was average. I don't know. I thought the Caps game was a good win. I thought it was a good team win. But again, I thought it was par for the course. And, I thought Lysell was actually picking up. So I don't know. What are you guys' final thoughts before we move on to the Rangers game? That was Thursday.
Everything else I had was on, Lysell, Merkelov. Doesn't mean much now. That was. I think Lysell looked better than the first game, and I thought Merkelov again. He was as time went on, he kept getting better. He was getting more comfortable in in games. I think it was a pretty premature cut. That's all I got. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I think those guys deserve
two of
more of a
my
look.
top threes. Yeah, two of my top threes for that game were Merkelov and Lysell, and then the third was Cam, your boy Riley Tuft.
He sucks.
I think somebody that's no, he's great. He's fantastic.
Riley Tuff sucks, buddy. I think he played for
He might be
Colorado, which is my second favorite team. Oh God, he sucks, dude.
The fun thing with him.
Oh man! All right,
you guys know he's a first round pick, right? Not that it matters now because like
Riley Tuff
he was a first round pick at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, when? Like freaking when?
2016, I think.
It was by Colorado, wasn't it? Colorado made that pick because I think he came over from Colorado.
Dallas. I think Dallas.
Oh, well, geez.
So he came up with Dallas. I think he skated in the Colorado system for 1 year. Big Riley Tuff guy, so 1 year with Colorado, and then I think he bounced over here. Ryan Spoon is in Germany, so I need to find some other mediocre center to hop on.
Oh man, dude. Hey, I can't fault Dallas because of what we did in 2015. I know we have to get over it, but Zach Senyshyn, Zaboral, and Jake DeBrusk, that was
too soon.
Too soon? Not soon enough, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. All right, moving on to the Rangers. It was a
what do you guys think of this this comment down here? Because there is a right answer, and there is a wrong answer.
To what exactly? Read the question, Vogel. I'm blind.
If you were making a team, would you rather Matthews or McDavid on your team?
McDavid.
Sorry, that was just bad podcasting right there.
McDavid?
Yeah, I mean,
is that even a question?
Obvious answer.
Yeah.
Why is that a question?
Yeah.
I think Rick might have put that there just to give himself some vindication that no one here was going to pick like Austin Matthews. Like,
there it is again. Yeah, he knows. Yeah. He knows.
Matthews is a very talented goal scorer, and I can see Rick at the bottom of the screen like giving me the middle finger and just being like, no, he's not. But he's not even compared to Matthews. I'm sorry, he's not. McDavid. Matthews is no comparison to McDavid. Yeah, McDavid is
there.
Just
he is.
Outer
there
world.
He is.
Yeah, there's Rick. There's Dog Meat. Yeah.
Dog Meat is a very funny insult.
God. All right, so the Rangers, 5-2 loss. Brandon Bussey got, I believe, most of that game, if not all of it. I believe he got all of it, right? He played.
That was the game 60. He got the whole game. Yeah.
Yeah, that he was left out to dry in that game. I think for the most part. Again, Callahan. He's not my favorite guy, by the way. In case not a huge Callahan guy. He caused another turnover and it put Ian Mitchell in a bad spot. So I feel like putting Callahan with Mitchell was a bad play on my part. And I feel like it wasn't fair to Ian Mitchell either. I don't think Ian Mitchell's a bad player. I think he's a decent, seventh D man that can come play. But they really fumbled the bag on that. And Callahan it didn't seem like he was looking or doing anything very important with the puck, except giving it to the other team. But they were both defensive liabilities the way I saw it. That was the game that Zadorov was with McAvoy. Not sure how you guys feel about that pairing, but it looks like they were shaking off rust. But I don't know. Let's kind of touch base on that. How do you guys feel if we were to start the season tomorrow? If that was your defensive pairing, how would you like that? Start with Kyle.
Take it away, Matt.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I'll take it away. All right. Again, this is keeping in mind that it's their first time touching the ice together, so try to keep things in perspective. But woof, McAvoy was fine. He was rusty, but he still had some plus plays. I thought Zadorov, between mishandling the puck twice, once at the offensive blue line, the other time at the defensive blue line, both going for rushes, stupid cross-checking penalty in the corner. Like, he just looked like
I believe that was a cross-checking penalty that led to the first goal, right?
I believe so, yeah. And it's like
I thought that was a pretty soft one.
Sure, yeah, but it's for what? You know
He
what I
got
mean?
him on the numbers. He
Yeah,
did get him on
yeah,
there, but like it just looked like that. I can't remember who the player that received the cross check was, but it just looked like he just went down so easy. And I mean, Zadorov's a big guy. I mean, like you could.
yeah.
It kind of takes me back to that Sam Bennett situation where, you know, he clearly cross checked Coyle in Swayman, but the NHL said like, oh,
Yeah.
there was contact, but there was enough. I don't think it goes back to me saying like, it's not your job to determine whether or not there was enough contact. It's your job to determine whether or not there was an infraction. And that is one of those cases. I may have not liked the call on Zadorov, thinking it was a little too soft, but it was an infraction. Call it the way you see it. So, but yeah, I agree. It was a bad
So
thing.
To your actual question of how would we feel walking into the start of the season with that being the pairing, I'm still hopeful for it. I still think that this two skill sets could line up well. I think that hopefully having Zadorov there frees McAvoy up from having to be the offensive and defensive force of the line, and also being the only guy on the back end that wants to answer if there's any sort of scrum or anything. Not that there's much fighting in the league anymore, but when your best defenseman's also the only defenseman that's willing to sort of lean into that at all, I don't think it puts you in a great spot. So I think adding a little bit of snarl, adding another big body, adding somebody that McAvoy doesn't feel the need to basically babysit, I think could free him up to be a better version of himself. This one instance, I don't think was a very good showing for Zadorov, and I'm hoping it's not much to come. I was talking to Matt a little bit about it before the show, and I'm a little bit worried about the guy as in general. Like, I feel like from what I've known of him, his MO is a bit chaotic. So he strikes me as the kind of guy that can give you some highlight hits, but also make some boneheaded decisions that kind of come to bite you in the ass. So be interesting to see what that actually looks like in a Bruins sweater versus kind of just going off of what you can get from highlight reels and things like that. Because I'd be lying to you if I told you I watched much Canucks hockey.
And piggybacking off that too, like you were saying before too, Lindholm has played good with McAvoy. So even if the Zadorov McAvoy pairing doesn't work out, you slide Lindholm back into that where it works, and then try to find Lindholm, pair Lindholm with somebody. With Zadorov with somebody else and see how that works out.
I'll echo everything that you guys are saying. I'm not even against putting him down with Andrew Peeke, because that would be probably the roughest, toughest third line pairing that's out there. I mean, could you just imagine? Those two are brutes, man. Like it's not going to happen. It's not. It's likely going to be Lowry Peeke, but I also wouldn't mind seeing Lowry up with McAvoy too. We saw a glimpse of it in the playoffs, and that was really good. I mean, you clearly see Lowry's talent. I mean, even in the game yesterday, he has no qualms of just trying to take the puck and make some magic with it. I mean, the kid's 23 years old. I'm surprised he wasn't in the NHL sooner with how well he played. He played well, man. I mean, like, he's adapting very strongly. Tall dude. Funny enough, Vogel and I were almost able to meet Johnny Beecher, Patra, and Lowry. If we were just 5 minutes late to Bruins Fan Fest, we would have literally ran right into them, as they were exiting. Or I'm sorry, not 5 minutes late to the actual Fan Fest, but 5 minutes later than we already were. It would have been nuts. But he's a tall dude.
They were taking off right as we got there. He is a big boy.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something I'd also like to see. The thing, we're in no shortage of, I think, solid defensive pairings outside of the Lindholm Carlo pairing. That's the only one that I'm completely out on. Yeah. So I'm not looking. I'm looking forward to give it a shot, but I'd much rather Lindholm there, because I feel like we can't really afford to have two lines or two defensive pairings that aren't clicking on or firing on all cylinders or aren't prepared to. So give it a 9-game try, and then Jim Montgomery will do what he does best and mess up the lines, which drives me absolutely insane. So I'm all for taking options away from him. So I don't want to give Montgomery more reason to mix up the lines, because I love his philosophy is like, you earn your ice time.
I don't think he has any reason anyway. He just loves doing it.
Yeah, it drives me
just loves fucking with it.
Freaking insane. And Alex, go screw yourself with the Michkov thing. Congratulations. He, by the way, yes, Michkov is nuts, but screw you.
That kid's gonna be a menace. I'm Alex. I'm happy for you, as somebody that has to watch his team play against him. Fuck that guy. But I think Michkov's gonna be a headache for years to come. He's talented and seems to get under everybody's skin. I love the fact that Sweezy thought that he was going to drag him into a fight the other night. It's like, yeah, dude, he's definitely going to toss with you. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. Yeah, I mean, that can segue us right into to Philadelphia, because I mean, there really wasn't much to gauge from the Rangers game. It felt like the same roster from that Sunday, and I don't know why they were doing that. I thought a nice little change of pace would have been better. Like, I think they swapped out some of the NHLers, but it didn't. I don't know what was going on there, but it just I felt like they needed more than what they were doing. And I mean, I think the Rangers were playing with 50% of their actual NHL roster, minus Jacob Trouba. So, you know what I mean? By the way, quick note on Jacob Trouba. That man should be suspended for an infinite amount of time. I don't really care. So,
this is the game. So, going back to what we were talking about in earlier in the show. How is it that in 2024 there are still games that are blacked out? It was a nightmare trying to find this game. On the Bruins website, it said it was on Nessun. I have Xfinity. It said it was on NHL Network. So I put that on, and I'm watching the 50 best saves of all time. I'm going through Twitter. Nobody else can find it. They advertise it it was on 98.5. It was not. I mean, how is it this impossible to catch a game?
Yeah, I remember talking with you yesterday. Yeah, sorry, Kyle. I remember talking with Vogel yesterday about this. Like, we were panic texting each other back and forth about, like, where's the game? Are you getting the game? And someone finally on Twitter responded to everyone and just like, you can find it on NHL Center Ice. I'm like, cool. So what if we have to pay for it? Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, texting like, this is terrible. This is terrible. Like, don't advertise it.
So if anything happened in the first period, I can't tell you about it because I missed the whole thing. Kyle, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was out in the boonies.
Oh well, then he wasn't getting the game at all. So he was camping.
Oh no, I was just going through less than legitimate sources to get the stream.
I mean, before the game, you were the one who said, "Nah, that sucks. Guess we have to drive to Philly. We were better off."
You would have made it. You would have made
better off doing that.
You would have made it. You probably would have made it just in time for the third period. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a 5-hour drive, but I'm pretty sure you would have broke speed limits just to get that content.
It was ridiculous. But anyway, that was the game where, at least in my mind, I saw. I have a note here that Patra needed to start the season in Boston. I mean, he all week has showed the kind of player he's been and the kind of player he's morphing into, and there's no question in my mind that he should not start in Providence. He should be on that roster.
No, I agree. I agree entirely. Patra and maybe it's because we were so used to it, but Patra continued to impress every single game that he played, and that was the sign for me too, that he was going to start in Boston. His shoulder recovered, and like I said, the only reason why I would have wanted him to start in Providence was because of his shoulder. I wanted to see if he could mend it, get it going. And then once it was mended, we moved on from there. So the fact that he's showing no signs of regression and it's actually healed up well, I think he can start in Boston. I thought Lysell had a good game in that too. I thought Merkulov had a good game in that. That Bruins roster had maybe 6 NHLers on it. I would probably say Philly had about 70% of their team there, and they took it to overtime. Korpisalo stood on his head, and that was a good showing for Corp, I think.
Let me ask you guys something too. Does that kind of performance make you feel better? Not great or not good, but better about not having Swayman to start the year?
Yeah.
Makes me feel better. I mean, of course, I would like Swayman to start. There's no question about it. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's our number one goaltender. But seeing the way Korpisalo played with 50% of our defense available to him, and being lights out when he needed to be, making saves when he needed to. And of course, like,
And how many shorthanded shots did he see? The Bruins took stupid penalties all night.
Did we end up with 7? I think was the total. Something like that.
I can't remember.
I don't know the exact figure, but it had to have been a lot. I mean, how often were we shorthanded?
Yeah, I think by game notes I had 7. I might be wrong, but yeah.
But I think
the thing with him, it's
like, Kyle.
No, I was just going to say that I didn't have too much concern about him returning to form somewhat. Like, he's done it before. He's an NHL caliber goalie. You can tell the difference. Like, you have Bussy play a game and then you have Korpisalo play a game. It's like you can tell just the composure there is just completely different. Obviously, last season was brutal, and we can argue whether or not we want his cap hit here. But we're just talking about the player again. That's money's not our problem. But I have not too much concern about the Bruins being able to turn him into, call it what, like a 9-15 guy. Like I think you should be able to pretty easily lock him in for that. I mean, look at the guys that we've had as backups in the past that have come in here, put up pretty damn solid statistical seasons, and then gone on to try to go play somewhere else and didn't really hack it. So I don't feel too bad about it. I do think we left him out to dry quite a bit, and he bailed us out a few times. But
I want to say this about Korpisalo because he's been on bad teams. He's been on Columbus and he's been on Ottawa. So I don't think he may have gotten an opportunity to show what he is fully capable of. And I think he'll thrive in a system where the defense definitely favors goaltenders. That's been the Boston way. If you look at Ottawa, they're a dumpster fire. I'd be surprised if Linus actually does well this year. I'm not going to lie to you, and I love Linus, and I felt bad that he went to Ottawa, but maybe they change it around or he becomes the voice of reason in that locker room for them. I mean, good luck. I mean, you have the world Olympic diver and Tim Stützle. So, I mean, I don't know, but I think it wouldn't be unrealistic to think that Korpisalo could probably get a 9-15 and maybe a 2-4 goals against, but I think it's going to be better. Korpisalo had his best showing.
Say that again.
Did you guys see how many shots?
He had like 39, right?
In the first. Yeah, it was like the first period.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But I guess in preseason too, and again, we can say a lot about preseason, but I think it can also speak a lot to goaltenders, especially when your spot is unsolidified. I mean, if you look at it, right, he has a 9.71 or something like that, and a 9.43 and a 1.71. Save percentage and goals against, respectively, if you think about it. So that's pretty good. It gives you hope. So I don't know. Those were my biggest takeaways from the Flyers game, was that, and obviously the penalties. But I think that's just there was an announcer, and he said too many men penalty, and I almost started losing my mind. And like it just drew me back to the playoffs.
It's just a classic. I mean, it wouldn't be a game
like,
if we didn't take a too many men penalty.
I'm like, this is the simplest form of mathematics that could possibly occur. Count to freaking 5. How fucking hard is that?
We've had this conversation. I think it was during the playoffs last year. All those penalties in the playoffs, and even this one right now. Is that on the players or is that on the coaches?
Both. I think it's both.
I mean, that's might hockey shit. I mean, how do you not? It's the dumbest penalty to take. We'd love taking it. I mean, luckily it's preseason, but I mean, they have to sort that shit out.
I don't know who they're on, but someone's got to smarten up and just count. There's no way you're exhausted. You've had an entire summer off. I'll give you leeway, like, when you're playing, double overtime or something like that, and you make a mistake like that's bound to happen. Like, exhaustion is bound to settle in. But no, when I heard that, and I'm glad it was just actually, I'm not glad it was a slashing call or a high sticking call, and I think it was Couturier or Travis Konechny that got one right in the kissa. So it was just, it was bad. But yeah, all loses. By the way, that missed call was terrible, and I think TK they got Riley toothed right up in his mouth, and he was clearly bleeding. That was bad. But whatever. It's preseason. It's moving on. But if that's going to be par for the course during the regular season, it's going to be another rough year of refereeing. So I don't know, but I still think the Bruins
I was gonna
come
bust
down.
Alex's balls about that missed call, but then Mitchkov dropped his dick on us in overtime.
Just laid it right on the freaking
like,
table
yeah.
for everyone to see.
It's pretty
Figured I should just keep my mouth shut.
pretty slick goal too. Just waiting him out.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Yeah,
It was gorgeous. He's gonna be a terror
gonna
in
be
the
a
NHL, dude.
nightmare.
I can give credit where credit's due, and he's going to be an absolute terror. The good news is that we play Philadelphia again on Tuesday, so we get a shot at redemption, and maybe we actually play with the majority of our roster. I don't know. I know it's only preseason, but I really don't like to lose to any of Alex's teams or anything like that. So I need bragging rights over him for something because he just glazes over Mitchkov all freaking day. That being said, boys, we have 2 tickets to the Bruins preseason game this Tuesday at 7 p.m. at TD Garden, which we are going to give away here on the podcast. So why don't we go ahead and do that? For ladies and gentlemen in the chat, if you want a chance to win the 2 tickets, what you need to do is you need to type in the comment section that you are here and that you are interested. What you have to have is a Ticketmaster account. You have to be able to supply us with a way to get that to you. So it would be email, would be the best way. We really don't want to take your number. We don't want to take anything else. No Snapchat, nothing. It has to be an email. So please make sure when you're writing your name down there that you have access to that. And so if you have neither of those, you are disqualified from it. So let us see it. Let us see it, boys. Let us see it in the comments who's here. And let's see what we got, and then we'll spin a wheel to kind of get it going. We'll give you guys a couple seconds to kind of get that in here. So I see Scoped is in here. Quinn is here. Jay Saka is here. Is there anybody else that wants a chance to win these 2 preseason tickets? They are free of charge. But like I said,
If it makes anybody feel more tempted, if you're here and for some reason you don't want the tickets, the 3 of us might be there. I know Kyle's going to be there. And if you see Kyle at the Garden and you whisper HiBruiNation in his ear, then he will buy you a chicken finger bucket free of charge.
It's on Cam's card though.
But it's on my card, buddy. I'm in debt. You can't do that. You can't do that. Oh my God.
It's a verbal promo code. You have to whisper HiBruiNation right in Kyle's ear.
So,
and you get a free chicken finger bucket.
Just so you guys are aware, we did have visibility to the chat, so we are disqualifying someone automatically for inappropriate behavior in the chat. You know who you are. You will not be eligible to win the tickets. So just so that you're aware, that's just the way it rolls, buddy. You need to have respect for people in the chat. It's the way it is. I have no qualms about it. What about you guys? Do you guys have any issues with that? No,
not
guys in agreement. All right, that's great. All right, guys, without further ado, I'm going to try and get this thing up. Remember, guys, you guys have to tell us whether or not you're here once your name is called. We'll give you time to do so. Ready, guys? Can I get a countdown, Vogel? Do you have anything?
I don't. That's kind of on the spot. I would have had something queued up.
Oh well. All right. We had a late entry. All right.
Hit it. Here we go. And it is going to
Eric. Eric says in. Eric, you have to respond within 30 seconds in order to do it, or we remove your name and we do it again. Countdown starts now, buddy, and we got the clock going. Let's go. Let's see it. Is Eric going to respond?
How long does he have?
He has 30 seconds. He has until that time.
Now he's got like 17.
Oh, man. Someone say Eric's gone in the chat.
Oh, man. That means we're going to have
a redraw.
We're going to have to spin it again, baby. You know what that means. We're going to have to spin that wheel again. I love that. I like that. Now he's chanting, Eric, Eric. There we go.
I can't
Oh man,
he's dropping the ball this hard.
Wow, unreal. Two free tickets, buddy. Hey, you know what? Someone was
And a
kind of
chance for a free chicken finger bucket.
Exactly, dude. You can even take a picture with us. We're kind of cool, I like to think. All right. Sorry, Eric. You snooze, you lose.
All right, here we
Respin.
go. It is going to.
Hey, Cat. Hey. Let's go.
Congratulations, Cat.
Cat, you have 30 seconds. Gotta hear it. We gotta hear your name. We gotta see your name. Otherwise, we're
Confirm
going
that
again.
you're here, and these tickets are yours.
Yep. Come on. You can do it. You got 20
There
seconds.
she is.
We'll start now. Yeah. Hey, we got her winner.
Cat, you are going to
There
the
we
game on
go.
Tuesday night.
Cat, be sure to look out for our boy Alex. He's our Philadelphia Flyers fan here on Pucking Around podcast. Happy that you joined, and we're very happy for the support. What we need from you, Cat, is we need an email to reach out to you. So
don't put it in the chat, and
please don't put it in the
you
chat.
can shoot. Don't Puck with Media a message with all your info. We can get those tickets to you right away.
Yeah. All right, guys. Wow, that was crazy. Noel, sorry, you can't win the tickets. You're kind of affiliated with someone here, so we can't have you win. But it was a nice try, though. So Kat, please email us at don'tpuckwithmedia@gmail.com. No, I'm sorry, that's not it. That is not it. It is puckingaroundpodcast@gmail.com. I'll put that in the chat for you. That way you can see that. Please email us there, and then with all your info, and then we will happily send you those tickets. All right, guys, let's take a look at the week ahead before we close out this show. We already mentioned the Flyers. I think that's going to be a win. We have the Kings. I think that's going to be a win. And we have the Capitals. I think that's going to be a win. What do you guys think as Kyle is buffering?
I guess that'll be me then. I think I completely agree with you. I think we're probably gonna have most of the roster, maybe a couple guys that won't be skating opening night playing. It was a close enough game against the Flyers. Like we said, a lot of penalties, a lot of shorthanded, and we still took them to overtime when they had a lot of their guys playing. I think Boston's just a better team. Flying out to LA, which I think is a weird preseason game. I mean, why schedule a game in LA? But whatever. I think that's a win, and I think the Capitals are again going to be a win.
We're gonna add Kyle back. Kyle had some technical difficulties. Kyle, what do you think for the week look ahead? Flyers win or loss?
I think it should be a W. I hope we're putting a little more veteran heavy lineup out there at home. So I got high hopes.
Cool. Kings win or loss?
I'm gonna go another win.
Cool. Capitals win or loss?
I could see him dragging, but I'm going with the win. We can't.
All right.
All right. So we got 3 W's. 3 W's across the board. That's how much faith we have. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for your support and showing up tonight. Congratulations to Kat on winning the tickets to the game. We hope you enjoy that. Guys, final thoughts before we close out.
Kyle, I'll let you take this one.
Ian Mitchell into the sun. Sorry. Got no time for you.
All right. You heard it here first.
That's all I got.
First. For someone who's a bottom line guy, and he's just like, fuck that, dude. All right.
Yep.
Vogel, why don't you do us a favor? Are you prepared to take us out?
I'm prepared to take us out. First of all, I would like to say the next time you guys hear from us, it will be the end of preseason. Next time we record, it'll be next Sunday, October 6th. The Bruins kick it off on the 8th in Florida. So, yeah, next time you hear from us, it'll be the end of preseason, which means, Cam, we're back.
We're so fucking back, baby.
We are
Oh
back.
my god, we are so fucking
We
back.
are back. We're back, and we
Cup.
can't wait. We can't wait. It's gonna be a loaded season. We have so much for you guys, so much content. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at HiBruiNation Pod. Make sure you check out our new website, HiBruiNation.com. That is a new website we have up and running. We're gonna have a lot of content on there. It's still pretty new, so we're building it up. There's gonna be a blog that's up. We're gonna have that going, be an updating that as much as we can. So yeah, just stick around. We're gonna have a lot for you guys. And I think that'll do it. So from everyone here at HiBruiNation, go Bruins.
Let's go Bears. Let's go get that cup, baby. We out.
Peace.